G'day everyone, welcome to my workroom tour. Now, I couldn't find a way to keep this video any shorter, although I did skim through a few things. If you have any questions about any of the tools here, please message me or get in touch and I'll be happy to do a video individually on them. Anyways, I hope you do enjoy. It's an interesting little place that I have going on here, so yeah, have fun. Welcome everyone to the CSWR Repairs workroom. Now it is in a residential building, so I've had to make do with how I organize everything here, and I promise you that I am not sponsored by IKEA or Bunnings, although they do have some pretty damn good storage solutions. Anyways, probably the most important part here of the room is the bookshelf. I've got an extensive collection there from over the years of just many books on repairing. This is my favorite section here, the reference section, where I've got the best fit books to actually look up old calibers and things like that. The Ronda Ballenstaff book, the Mainspring book, which is an excellent resource, and really just a whole bunch of other ones. This section here, probably my favorite books that I've just come across. I think I made an Instagram post on this recently. To restore vintage watches, I think these are basically your go-to books, and there's a whole number of other ones. These are a lot of books that I used from when I was first learning. Freed is absolutely amazing, and the Carl as well, but definitely Freed, definitely the go-to person. So here's sort of my watch opening section. I've got tools for a number of things. Got some plexi tools as well, obviously the old Roba tool, and this is a case back sort of pressing or glass pressing tool by Bourgeon, very good. Case opening tool, glass pressing again. Hidden down here is a watch winder, tester, and obviously the Witchy Chronoproof Pro, which is only 3 bar, but it does have the inbuilt printer and compressor, which saved me a lot of money in sort of getting this up and going. A couple of other bits and pieces there, so the printer, some UV light, things like that. This is sort of the general workbench for doing all the paperworky sort of stuff, and doing all the quotes, getting all things sorted out and such. Nothing really interesting in those drawers, just admin-y kind of stuff. It's my collection of horologically related things, except for the dash hounds. I just really like dash hounds. Here we have lots of bits and pieces. Lots and lots of bits and pieces, just general spare parts that I like to keep on hand for the popular stuff that I do. Heaps of batteries, spring bars and casing bits. Have gaskets, have a lot of gaskets in there, heaps and heaps of gaskets. I've got thousands of gaskets and I never ever have the right one. What do I have in here? We've got a collection of just thousands of crowns and hands and things for vintage watches. And again, I sometimes do find myself not having the right one. Just turn this over here. My favorite part over here is I've got a decent collection of jewels and bushings and things like that, which I'm very happy about. It's taken me a long time to get this sort of collection going, but these are essential when doing repairs on vintage watches. So to give you an example of really what I have here, so yeah, just most of the boxes are filled with little tubes like that have all your jewels that require replacing when you're doing vintage stuff. This box here is actually quite full, and I've got one of the Sykes boxes as well, which is new old stock, so it's quite full, and they're all brass bushings over there. So that's that bit. What's over here? This skinny shelf here on the right is all repairs, so I have to find a place to actually try and organize them. Well, they're repairs in progress. Well, they're kind of sort of in progress. The immediate ones in progress are here on the bench, and I've got a safe elsewhere that I keep the many other ones that I'm sort of delayed on. Here we have some vintage staking set, spare stakes. These are screw polishers. That's a foam caster. micrometer, which is essential for measuring balance dials and things like that. A very useful tool. I use it on a weekly basis. I've got mainspring winders, more mainspring winders. I should do a video on these. These are the Chinese version ones. They're excellent. There's vintage ones back there for ladies' watches. I'll show you these actually. They're very cute. Just very tiny, teeny tiny mainspring winders. Very cool. Those there. This is kind of like the escapement section. So I've got things to remove rollers. I've got microstellar tool, poising tool, banking pin tool. What have we got in there? We've got a pallet tool. We've got a Platex tool back there for removing weight off balances. That's for holding studs, I believe. And this sort of thing here that I got from an auction. I believe it belonged to Noel Lipscomb, part of the WCA. Cool little storage compartment. These two are cannon pin and tightening tools, collar tightening tool, and mystery tool. If anyone knows what that is, I'd like to know, please, because I have no idea. Just using 2 bits. Might just be a base or a holder, but it'd be good to know what that's for. Anyways, moving on. Got some more bits and pieces. So depthing tool there, obviously. A lot of cannon pin removing tools. This one's one of my favorite tools, actually. A lot of them are my favorite tools, actually, I should say. I really like tools. This is cool. This tool is just for tightening hands. So these are like mini collets, and if you have a hand that's a bit too loose on the arbor, you just pop it in there, put the hand in the collet in there, and then you just basically squeeze it tight, and it's just enough to not break your hand and give you enough friction that you need. This is a cool sort of deburring set. You need all these if you're doing bushings or if you're reaming anything out to remove the burr. Got a favourite tooling set, which is more or less complete. I'm missing a couple of collets and things which I don't really need. This is a Chinese version of the Horry tool. I don't like it very much. A lot of the punches, the stakes and the animals are a little bit off. So yeah, not good, but it does come in handy, so I do use it. I've also got the OG Horrier with its the OG punches and bits for it. Spare bits and pieces, so lots of screws because you can never go without having spare screws. Timing washers and bits and bobs and things that basically will save me time from looking around, and of course just a vintage collection of you've got dial washers and pins and screws of different sorts. Very useful stuff. Even if you haven't lost anything, you just have something rusted. Very useful. More bits and pieces. So your pliers, misc stuff. These are for the for Rolex rotor posts. This I think is a rose cutting tool that you use for removing height of bushings and things like that you've got wrong. And this little thing is for the staking set, I believe. Let's see if I can get that one. Yeah, so these are sort of centering. They're punches. They're open bell punches, but with a centering spring. So if you just can't get that in focus, yeah, these little things are actually spring loaded, and they help you center if you want to use that punch. Aha! Down here is probably my favorite tool. I've said that a lot, but this is probably my favorite tool ever. I absolutely love this. I first learnt of this tool from Carl Braunstein at Master Watchmaking. It's a pivot polishing tool, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. So what you essentially do is if you have a pivot that's quite worn, I think I've got an Instagram post on this. You measure it up using the Ferntaster micrometer that I had there. You select the right size and you put that runner in over here, and then you basically put your wheel in between here and you adjust it. And this little wheel here is a burnishing, sorry, not a burnishing stone, it's a, oh, I forgot the name of it. Anyways, it's a stone that takes away the most minimal amount of material. So basically what happens is you put your pivot all, you set it all up, and you spin it. So this down here, right here, that spins the wheel in a, depending which way you move it. In this case, it spins it in a clockwise direction, and this wheel spins in the same way, and that way you have a sort of an opposing force. So it works kind of that way, and basically this stone works against the pivot to burnish it, or to remove the slightest bit. We're talking hundredths of a millimeter per time to basically adjust it. So that tool is essential when you're doing restoration, because you find that a lot of pivots are worn on older watches and you just can't find new wheels or pivots that easily, and that allows you to polish it enough to get the watch running well enough. So that's another one of the, well, that's more of the same principle type stuff, the Jacquot tools. And two more staking sets. It's a Boley one. Boley's the best, I absolutely love it. And that's, can't remember, but the Star one. Oh no, this is the old K&S, I think it is. Very cool set, very useful. So I do have a lot of staking sets. I like them. The most modern one is obviously this one here. That's a brand new Star set. Pretty good. Not as good a material as the old Boleys, but very useful for modern watches. I do use this quite often, especially when doing balance staffs and things like that. So here is the main work area. I have a little Surface tablet laptop. I really don't like Windows systems, but the stuff that I use it for requires Windows, and I have it. It's useful to have tech sheets on here and use timing software. I'll talk about that in future. This is where a lot of the work is done, so I haven't actually been able to afford a proper large Watchmakers bench. So I've always adapted either using the sit-stand desks from IKEA. They're very good because you can adjust the height of them, or just using this tabletop thing from Horrortech on top of basically a pretty sturdy bench. So yeah, that's the work area. Try and keep it as clean as possible from tools and other bits and pieces. You're probably wondering why I have that thing on the bench. They're actually not bad for what they do. I use it just for basic indication of how the watch is running. But for anything more advanced, I use something called e-timer on that Surface, which I'll talk about in future, but that gives you a full picture. You can actually listen to the escapement live, you can look at the oscilloscope, you can look at a number of things. So that's basically what I go off. These straws here are actually pretty cool. They're for they're actually for crayons or something or other, but I have all my hand tools here. So I've got obviously your tools to set hands, hand removers. These are very cool, from a guy on Instagram that I saw, Eric Story, I think his name is. Excellent for a little bit of space when removing chronograph hands. More hand tools, lantern chucks, Etachron tools, different types of tweezers, including boxwood tweezers, which are very cool for hands, delicate things, and D tweezers, brass tweezers, you name it. Small pin vices and other bits and pieces. These are old oilers that I keep for prodding and stuff. Spare bits, these are for cleaning, shiny bits on dials if there's had a smudge. This is just random pegwood. This is a pivot hole measuring device, and these are that's for pocket watch sleeves. These are for removing rotor post bearings. That's a handle. And of course, you've got some escapement tools here. So your figure of 8 caliper, your lyre tool, and yeah, just bits and pieces for the escapement. This is my movement holder and lubrication drawer. So these are the most common oils that I use. These are all the greases and stuff that come up, or greases and oils. I do have the quartz oil there. Movement holders, these are really cool. I got them from Queensland, from a guy that 3D prints them up there. I'll put his link in the description. Actually, excellent little things to hold various caliber automatic systems. So I'll put that in the link. So it's mainly things like that. These drawers are just full of random bits and pieces. So finger cots, more powerful loops. These are all my cleaning baskets and things that I use for cleaning. Storage, all my compartments and stuff like that. And there's that little microphone that I'll do a video on in future. And a little stand. On the other side, I have more stuff. This is all your smoothing broaches, cutting reamers, like chamfering or deburring tools, if you like. Some tapping and dyeing, but not really good stuff. Pliers, and I do have some files there. And this is all your staking blocks and pin vices and heavier duty stuff. Not super heavy duty. Yes, let's turn to the other side. The back side here, I've got a mirror there, which is, I guess it's a residential spot, so there's obviously a closet. So I don't want to break the fourth wall by staring into that mirror. I don't know what can happen, some weird dimensional thing. I try and keep a large selection of bits and pieces for popular stuff, so a lot of the old AS Caliber, Seiko, Waltham, Omega, Elgin, all the popular stuff that I use, this sort of vintage pocket watches and such. This large drawer here is just stuff. I'll give you an idea of what the stuff is. I got just stuff. I got storage stuff, like mini storage stuff. This is all stock stuff, I guess. So pegwood, pithwood, all the oils and greases to restock when I run out, and just hand tools and stuff that I don't really use very often. More stuff, more storage stuff, and I don't know what's down here. Just more stuff, I guess. That's it for that. Mainsprings, I've got a nice selection of mainsprings to sort of have on hand. Paints for doing touch-up stuff. I got stems galore in that box, literally thousands of stems. Bits and pieces, lots of bits and pieces. These are all semi-organized. Here I've got like a ton of balance staffs and screws and bits and pieces. I managed to get a lot of this sorted during COVID, so it's quite organized. This is again just a lot of stuff for calibers, all sorted more or less. So I've got all the AS stuff and Cymer and this and that. So I try and keep as much as I can on hand to avoid ordering stuff and taking so long. And these are all just spare pocket watches and things like that. So yeah, that's this side of the room. Now the middle bit of the room is lathes, mainly lathes. This is just a headstock from one of the Chinese lathes, and I use it to grind gravers on and sharpen things and basically all the nasty stuff. This is an 8mm Bowley, which I use for the most common type stuff, for turning up bushings, for you can use the cross light on it and the bezel chuck. Most work gets done on this one here. And this is the newest member of the family. I quite love this. It's not ready to use just yet. Just turn that on for you to show you how cool that motor is. It's absolutely awesome. So the aim of this tool is meant to have a little guard here that actually protects the motor. And I've also got some little tool holders coming, and these tool holders are about that height, so they come to basically the center height of the headstock. And the point of that is you basically put a little graver tool on it, and it always sits at center height. So whenever you're making a balance staff, it's always going to cut. You don't have to worry about accidentally, changing angles with a hand graver. It just basically holds the angle for you, and all you have to do is just cut and sharpen it. And normally you have a little diamond wheel here, and a platform. So essentially all you do is cut. If it stops cutting, you know that's because it's blunt. You sharpen it, continue cutting. It's beautiful. I'll make a video on this in the future. This is my latest pride and joy. Now this is the Freedom from Littich Precision over in the USA. Now this machine is beautiful. I will make a video just in this machine. It's a machine that has ultrasonic capabilities in every jar. So I've got 5 jars here, 2 cleaning, 2 rinsing, well 3 rinsing actually, and obviously the dryer. This machine is amazing. I'll do a video on it, but this I've only had for a few weeks, and it has been revolutionary in terms of cleaning and time saving. I absolutely love it. Very briefly, some of the drawers here are all just stones, not just for fun, but just for actually using to grind and things like that. Files, pliers, the gusset stones, slot files, just a number of little things that I've just thrown money at. Brass, burny things, gluey things, here, polisher things, electrical things, miscellaneous things. And on this side I have collets. That's the Chinese stuff, that's the Bowley stuff, collets. I have here gravers, more files, larger files. I don't know what's back there actually. More stuff. The Bowley attachments, so obviously your drilling tailstock, your centering tailstock, I think. Bezel chuck, cross slide, mandrel, 3-jaw chuck, etc. I do have a whole bunch of drill bits. You can never have enough drill bits. These are all carbide drill bits for making tiny holes. More drill bits down there. What do we have here? Just stock, I guess, of brass and blue steel and jewelry saws and lathing belts, because you can never have enough of those in case they break. It's a wet pressure tester, and I believe that's pretty much everything in this room. I've got a box full of Chinese lathe bits and another staking set, that's number 6. So yes, I hope you've enjoyed this little virtual tour of the CS Watch Repairs room. If you have any questions, if you want me to talk about any tools that you've seen here or how certain things work or what have you not, get in touch. I'll be happy to do videos on just individual tools. I probably will do it anyways, but this hopefully gives you a good idea of, I guess, how far I've gone to try and keep up a standard. I mean, if there's a tool that I need for a type of repair, I'm going to buy it because I want to give the best for the watch. Anyways, thanks for hanging in there, and hopefully this has been a useful video.